Are a couple of silly little red cows going to summon the Antichrist? And I'm not talking about the Minecraft ones, no. Red heifers. Not 99.1% pure, but 100%, or at least as close to perfect red fur as possible. Why are these red heifers so important in the first place? Why does their red fur matter so much, and why do people think this is going to be the end of the world? You will find out in this video. First, we'll have to look at the sacrifices, the ancient tradition that it is. First performed around the time of Moses, the Jewish people's main prophet, this sacrificial ritual is not just done to appease God. No, they slaughter and burn the cows for their ashes to make a special purification powder. The Jewish people still live by the Old Testament, since they don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah, and so they have to continue these sacrifices as a part of their religion. It is in the Bible from the passage Book of Numbers chapter 19 where God demands a red cow that needs to be an adult and it needs to be unblemished. It can never have used a yoke. God is getting really specific and demanding in this passage. The Old Testament and the Torah overlap, so that is why the ritual is in the Bible. Imagine you were a pious Jew and you bring a red cow just like God asked for, only to hear, "This cow has had a yoke on it, and it has 4 gray hairs. You shall be banished to the valley of the shadow of death." Oh, and also the cow could not have worked out in the field and it cannot be touched by anyone except for the purpose of preserving the cow. Look, I don't know how the Jewish people performed this ritual 9 times. Granted, they performed it 9 times over 2,000 years, but the requirements are very specific. If someone threw an egg at one of the cows, they would be cooked. To me, it almost seems like God didn't actually want them to perform the ritual, he just wanted to see how far the Jews would go, even if the rules are kind of insane. But anyways, you see, the animals are sacrificed ritualistically with a knife by cutting open their throats and sprinkling their blood towards the tabernacle, aka temple. Then, the remains are supposed to be burned until only the ashes from the cows remain. This also has to be done outside the altar, which is unusual. These red cow ashes were then mixed with water and were used to purify temples and also make the believers spiritually clean, which was important to them. It is prophesied that after this ritual has been performed 10 times, the Messiah will arrive and save the Jewish people. So, currently, the Jews in Israel have everything they need to build their temple, the one which is prophesied to be the 3rd temple that brings about the Messiah. They just need the red heifer ashes to purify the area. They have been searching for this red heifer for the last 40 years, with some cows that fit the description occasionally being found. But they would always have some minimal blemishes on them, or they've had a yoke put on them before. Once again, this is just so oddly specific to me. How did the Jewish people for thousands of years purify themselves in their temples if they only did that ritual that results in the purification ashes 9 times? I guess they must have gotten a lot of purification powder from one sacrifice. The cow is a pretty huge animal after all. So, because it's so difficult to get these coveted perfect red cows, Christians from a US Texan farm took it upon themselves to create this lovely beast and sell it to Israel. Similar to a Counter-Strike skin, this cow has got to have the perfect 0.00 float, or else there might be a little flood again. So 5 perfect float cows have been born on an October in 2021. Then, on September 15th, 2022, they are flown to Israel because they have turned out good with no little gray hairs on them. I wonder who inspected those cows. Did they have a professional cow inspector with a magnifying glass, checking to see if they are the ones? I've just looked it up and yep, they inspected it better than Inspector Gadget. What makes this whole thing a bit humorous to me is that according to Judaism, God created these cows since God is the creator of everything, and that means God told the Jewish people to look for the perfect red cows all over the world, and he keeps them either pretty well hidden or really rare, so they can't perform their purifying ritual more often. I think God might be playing with them a little. No offense to Judaism or religion in general, I'm just trying to understand where this could have come from, and why God felt that the red heifer hunt should be a big part of the religion, so big that it summons the Messiah. Christians don't have to do this, since they believe that Jesus was the last sacrifice and there was no need for more sacrifices. Remember this, it will become more important later. The cows were sold for 100,000 US dollars each, so if you wanted to buy one, you would either have to choose between a Lamborghini or a perfect red cow. And it cost an additional $250,000 to fly them over to Israel. At the time of arrival, they were 1 year old, but for the ritual, they needed to be 2 years and 1 month old. 5 cows total were shipped over at the time of arrival, so it cost them a nice $750,000 to transport the mushroom cows. To be honest, I would completely understand if these were the red mushroom cows from Minecraft, since they give you infinite mushroom stew, so for all of my younger viewers out there, they are transporting these rare red cows from the coveted mushroom biome to their home base. So, after waiting around to see if the cows got old enough and didn't develop any blemishes, November 20th, 2023, all 5 cows became old enough. One of them gets disqualified, which actually might be a good thing for the cow if you think about it. So there are 4 sacrificial cows left now, and usually only 1 cow would be available to sacrifice for the ritual, but finally, after 1900 years, they had 4 of them. The cows could actually still be disqualified tomorrow, so keep up with the news to see if they'll go ahead with the ritual. Actually, all you have to do is throw a blanket over them, and that disqualifies them, which is so insanely specific and niche it makes me wonder, what if the Texan guy who bred the cows has thrown some sort of blanket over it and didn't tell the Jews, so when they're sacrificed to God, will God smite them on the spot? What happens? They only need 1 for the ritual though, so they have backup cows, so it's extremely likely the ritual will take place. They have already built a huge sacrificial altar in Israel. It's this huge white thing that looks like the stairs in the woods from that one story. I have to say, it looks pretty industrial for an altar. You'd think they would decorate it more with gold and writing, but I guess what's more important is only that sweet, sweet cow meat. This ritual will happen in April of 2024, most likely at the end or during Passover, the major Jewish spring festival. April 22nd to be exact, but they might change it up by a few days just to confuse anybody who might want to mess with the ritual. It ends on April 30th, so it's probably somewhere in this time span. They already found a guy who will be performing the ritual, and his identity is being kept secret, including the exact date of the sacrifice, so that certain people can't blemish the cows on the day of the sacrifice. So, why should you care about this? What does it have to do with the end of the world? Well, first of all, this is an incredibly tense geopolitical situation because Hamas, if you get what I'm saying, said that they attacked Israel partially to stop this very sacrifice. Why, you might ask? Well, it is believed that after the sacrifice has been performed and they have their red heifer ashes now, they will use it to purify the ground to build the third temple. You see, thousands of years ago, the Jews used to have this incredibly holy temple built in Israel, one of, if not the holiest temple in the land. This third temple was meant to be the birthplace of their Messiah, but oh no, Israel has been invaded for the 17th time, and now it belonged to the Muslims. That temple was demolished, or should I say, reused to build the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. It is thought that this mosque stands on the holy ground on where the Jewish temple used to be. So Hamas theorized and came to the conclusion that the Zionist Jews might demolish this mosque, which is the 3rd holiest site in all of Islam, and rebuild their old temple to fulfill their prophecy, and finally summon their Messiah to the rescue. The last time they had all of the materials to build the holy temple was in 70 AD. So this is quite the major religious event, no matter how you look at it. They even want to live stream the event to 800 million people, and I understand how important this is, but I kinda feel bad for the cow. I mean, imagine you're born with the perfect red hair, and then some hairless monkey sacrifice you for hundreds of millions of people to see just to spray your ashes all over the ground. Insiders have even disclosed that there are countries, or a country specifically, that will provide the Jewish people all of the gold they need to build the temple. Now, I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say that it was probably the United States of America. I mean, they have helped with this ritual every step of the way, providing the cows and most importantly, vehemently defending Israel so that the Jews can settle in Palestine. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if the US got some gold out of Fort Knox so they can build their temple. No wonder there are so many conspiracy theories about the Jews being these super powerful people who run things behind the scenes, because what other nation can just get Big Daddy US's full support and massive amounts of gold to build a temple for their religion of 17 million people? Most people don't even know about Sikhism, for example, even though it has 26 to 30 million believers. There also happen to be a lot of Jewish people in powerful positions such as Mark Zuckerberg, Harvey Weinstein, and Jeffrey Epstein, and these people really do not help the Jews beat the secret society allegations. I personally believe that most Jewish people are just completely normal people who have nothing to do with all of this insanity going on right now, and they just want to live peaceful lives and not be hated by everyone. There are always religious fanatics though, that become very powerful and very rich, that go to such extents like rebuilding what used to be the Jewish people's holiest site. The altar for the sacrifice is also on private property, so it is very likely that some powerful individuals are sponsoring this event. Christians have been known to do similar stuff, especially Americans with their mega churches and mega pastors, and I think it's comparable to what is going on right now in Israel. This might turn out to be nothing, but all of this has actually been literally prophesied in the Bible, that there will be a temple in Jerusalem again, and they will be performing sacrifices there, so even if you think religion is bogus and baloney, the prophecy in the Bible is actually coming true. And it's not even that the Bible passages were so vague it could be interpreted as anything. No, it describes what is going to happen with almost creepy precision. Now, look. I have never said this publicly, but I believe that all religions have some truth to them, and the divine truth inside all religions has been corrupted over time by human error and evil, so I can't help but think that Christianity might have something there. But I'm very open-minded, so if nothing happens, that's that, and I'm not telling you to convert to Christianity and accept Jesus as God. No, that is for you to decide. What I'm saying is, please be respectful to all religions and don't just outright dismiss them as fantasies and fairy tales. I hope the comments under this video will remain civil, but I might have to turn them off because people will start relentlessly attacking Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. But in the end, these are all just people who want to believe in something that is higher and more important than themselves, and they generally try to be good people according to their religions. So once again, please be polite and respectful. Now that we have that out of the way, we can talk about how both the Muslims and the Christians believe that the Messiah already came. The obvious example would be Jesus Christ, and according to the Bible, any Messiah that comes after Jesus Christ is a false one, and therefore the Antichrist. The Antichrist has been a contentious topic for a long time now, since they are a large part of the end-time prophecies in the last chapters of the Bible, and it's prophesied that before the end times will begin, the sun will go dark, which some have interpreted to be the April 8th solar eclipse, but I don't actually think this is what is meant. It's more like total darkness for 3 days or so. So, the sun will go dark, the moon will turn to blood, which is probably either a blood moon, or it's the fact that the moon is actually rusting and slowly becoming more red over time, which is insane. And lastly, the stars will fall from the skies, like the fruits of a fig tree, and this is yet to happen. After all of that, the Antichrist will come about and they will claim to be the Messiah, and or Jesus Christ, and they will fool a lot of people into believing the false religion. The Antichrist is said to bring about a time of chaos and death before the real Jesus Christ actually arrives with an army of angels and kicks his ass. Shortly before the second coming of Christ, all of the Christians will be raptured away into safety, while the rest will experience what we commonly refer to as the apocalypse. This period is known as the tribulations. So it is believed that the Antichrist will be the one who frees Israel and builds the third temple in Jerusalem because the Jews believe them to be the Messiah, while the Christians believe any Messiah after Jesus Christ is the Antichrist. The Antichrist will also declare themselves to be God in the temple, and I don't know why I keep using they, it's most likely going to be a man, who am I kidding? Remember, there is only one God, and any person on this earth who claims to literally be God is insane and lying to deceive people to get as much power as possible. Also, according to the revelations, there will be some sort of dragon that comes down from heaven that will commit Austrian Painter's special move on the Jewish people. I hate the algorithm so much, I'm so sorry I can't say the G word. And this is all going to be a huge abomination. This reminds me of something very weird. Remember that cryptic stone tablet Elon Musk's ex-wife posted, aka Grimes? She allegedly predicted COVID with this tablet, symbolized by the 3 vaccines, and the alien disclosure event of 2023. Now, I think this is mainly some gobbledygook to promote her music or whatever, but I also remember there being a solar eclipse depicted, and after the solar eclipse, 2 dragons appear on the tablet. It's a really weird freaking coincidence, and I might make a whole separate video on this weird and harbinger-esque tablet. But Grimes might have gotten a look at Daddy Elon's notes. But what's much more concerning to me than a glorified ad with a bunch of emojis on it is the fact that 2024 is the year of the dragon. I don't know why there's all of this dragon symbolism this year, and I'm not saying it means anything, I'm just pointing it out. You never know with all of these quote-unquote elites and powerful scumbags. To summarize, Christians believe that red heifers are related to the Antichrist, and thus the end of the world, because after the 10th red heifer ritual has been performed, he will rise and bring the tribulations upon this world. Even if the Antichrist won't arrive, potentially destroying the 3rd holiest site in all of Islam will surely be seen as an act of aggression towards the Muslim nations, and they might retaliate very heavily, which also coincidentally might bring about the end of the world, due to a huge escalation in the Middle East kicking off the long prophesized World War III. If World War III actually happens, it won't last very long, but the casualties will be immense. At the very least, a major war in the Middle East could skyrocket oil prices at an all-time high, which the US economy can't really handle right now. Even economic powerhouses like Germany, who are usually good at fighting inflation, will take a massive hit on the oil prices, since the majority of the oil they buy comes from Qatar. If the German economy is screwed, then all of Europe's economy is screwed, because Germany acts as the great bank for all of Europe. And the US has an oil addiction and a currency that is directly tied to the amount of oil they control and possess, so no wonder they might be screwed because of the conflict in the Middle East. This gets even spicier because Iran recently sent drones and missiles over to Israel, which might be considered as an act of war. This is an incredibly tense and complicated geopolitical situation that has been going on for decades now, and it will probably take a whole other video to explain, but for now, all you have to know is that stuff's about to go down, in a major way. We live in unprecedented times, and I'm excited to see how this will all turn out. It would be pretty cool if Jesus came back and saved everyone, but I'm not hoping for that necessarily. I just think it would also be really funny. Like, imagine you go on r/atheism while Christ has risen and you're like, God damn, my whole life I've been trolling and belittling religious people just to be wrong in the end. Well, might as well jerk off to horse girls, since I'm already going to hell. Thank you everybody for watching this video. Watch some more videos if you want to hear my critiques of society, or if you just have nothing better to do. Like and subscribe, and I hope you have an amazing month. Stay safe out there.
There is no rest for the wicked.